Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Immolation. All right. This,
I was cruel to this one in my spell review.
well, I mean, it's kind of justified. Very justified. I don't know. All right, well, let's get into it. What does Immolation do?
So Immolation is the classic fire wizard demonologist diabolist thing where you conjure a bunch of fires of hell and encase someone in a burning pyre and they run around screaming with catching on flames and doing that whole thing, right? The gist of it is you pick someone within 90 feet of you for a 5th level spell slot. It's 5th. That's again the high level-ish, mid-tier. They make a dex save. On a failed dex save, they take 8d6 fire damage. So out the gate, this is fireball damage on a single target for 2 spell levels higher. Okay, don't love that, but there's more text. We can keep reading. They shed 30-foot bright light for up to a minute, as long as you can concentrate on this. That's another thing that's like, okay, you have to concentrate on this for a minute. Okay. At the end of each of its turns, it makes an additional dex save, and on a successful dex save, the spell ends. So a lot of the time, what's going to happen is you're going to cast this with a 5th level spell slot. They'll fail the first save, huzzah, take 86 damage, and then they'll succeed the next one, the spell will end, and you'll be bummed out. But should they fail the second dex save, so fail 2 consecutive dex saves, they take 46 more damage, bumping this number up to 12d6. And that just continues until you drop concentration on it, or the spell ends, because it dies, which is, fairly likely to happen. And that's kind of it. That's basically all this does.
That's not it. I mean, there's that last line of text. If it dies, then from this spell it turns to ash, which
very useful. Yes.
I mean, if there was somebody that was going to revive this thing, they're not going to do it now.
That's true. Unless they have true resurrection. 9th level spell justification. Here we go, baby. It's a good spell after all. No, that's not true. The spell's awful. Anyway, just use lower level versions. They're not getting disintegrated because they're not getting immolated because no one's casting immolation.
I don't know. Well, all right, let's devil's advocate here. What about against low dex creatures?
Big low dex creatures is what you want to cast this on, right?
Yeah.
That's the dream. Against big low dex creatures, how many rounds does this need to hit for you to be happy with it, do you think?
Well, 5th level slot. I don't know. What are our other damaging options at this level?
So the most immediate comparison, I think the most apt one is Fireball, as it's 3rd level. If you upcast it, it's a 5th level for 10d6 in an area, which if you get 2 successful saves, you are barely out damaging the area of effect equivalent damage at this tier. The supposed recommended damage for a single target spell here is 8d10 damage, which is 2 dice sizes higher. And the difference between 8d6, which is an average of 28, and 8d10, which is an average of 44, is a lot of extra damage, right? 44 versus 28 is a whole 16 extra damage that you're getting. Sounds right. So maybe 16 damage out the gate. If you get the 12d6, you're at 42 damage, which is still under what your average single target spell should be doing according to the Dungeon Master's Guide. We're still not there yet. And it's had to fail 2 saves. So on its 3rd failed save, we're breaking that point of where the damage should be going into 16d6. So 3 rounds is what you really need to get out of this for it to be worth it.
There's things I'm not thrilled about with this spell. That's if each consecutive turn was another 8d6 instead of 4d6, that would be something.
Yeah, that'd be quite good.
Or if if they didn't get to save every turn, like their only option of ending the spell would be to break your concentration. That'd be neat. But one part of the spell description makes me laugh though. They shred bright light. That's a feature of the spell. Like I'm out of torches.
Honestly, I really wish they just keyworded this, like just be like the target is ignited, and then just have ignited be like a torch is ignited, and this ignited is something on fire gives this much light, right? That would have been easier. We don't need to take up so much of this in oh, look at it. The thing on fire is giving off light. which no one has ever cared about for the last 5 years playing this game because everyone has dark vision anyway. That's a different begrudging point. But yeah, it's fun. It's here, I guess.
So, I don't know. Keep talking. What else we got to say about this?
Okay, damage over time effects are weird. And damage over time effects are weird because encounters tend to be short. Against a really big bad, against something that like is a top tier villain closing out an arc, like CR 11 for the mid tiers, CR 16 to 20 for the upper tiers. I am not envisioning this failing more than one save ever. Like things that are getting plus 10s and 11s, they're not failing more than one of this, which means you are getting under damage and you don't want that. So then you're using this spell on mid-tier creatures. I don't love that because it's a 5th level spell. It doesn't have any upcasts either. So this isn't like, if you could increase the uptick damage and initial damage by 2d6 around, it's like, okay, that's maybe kind of interesting, but it doesn't even have the weird upcast options that I would expect to see, that I would often call bad. That's kind of odd and makes it even less castable. This is something you want to cast on, like, again, this feels like on the lieutenant. This feels like something you want to cast on something that's going to be alive for more than 3 rounds. Most fights against those kinds of mid-sized creatures tend to be very explosive, where that thing is hitting you for like 14d12 damage over 4 attacks, over 6 attacks over 2 turns, and you're wailing into it for a bunch of other damage with your whole party. The encounter's not going to last long enough for the spell to do enough damage for you to care about it oftentimes, right? Like if you decide to pick out something for death, that thing is going to die quickly or it's going to kill you quickly is normally the reason why you're doing it. So long duration effects tend to be quite bad, which means this is something you would only really want to do on things with like hundreds of hit points and that you expect to live for, 8 rounds, 9 rounds, and there's just no shot it's getting enough damage just by the cast there.
Yeah, I was thinking the only reason it would be lasting 3 or more rounds is because you used this instead of a better spell.
Yeah, right? Like if I even in my review I talked about it compared to Disintegrate, which let me just pull up the exact damage Disintegrate does, because I know there's a plus 40 integrated in Disintegrate. And if you remember, the average like Disintegrate is a spell level higher than this. That's notable, but like Disintegrate's doing waiting for World or D&D Beyond to load. Disintegrate is dealing 10d6 plus 40. So it's doing more than the initial damage of this plus 40. That's the difference in damage of that single target effect to Immolation. So, like, this isn't close to being castable, right? Like, the moment you hit 6th level spells, why would you ever Immolate whenever Disintegrate's on the table? I don't see it.
Because you like the fire thing? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. This feels like something you take at 9th level, use in like 2 fights in the campaign, get middling use out of it and go, hey, that was neat, and then take better damage options instead. That's the use case I see for Immolation.
Yeah.
It's not like abysmally bad. The mid case of getting 1 failed save is close to worth it, or 2 failed saves is close to worth it, and that'll happen occasionally. Not often, but occasionally. Yeah, I don't know. At least let it be that they get to take the damage then make the save, because the fact that you can hit them with the 86 damage if they fail it, and they may not even take an instance of the damage by just passing the next save feels like such a bummer to me. Like if it was they take the damage and at the start of their next turn they take the damage, then they save to end it, then I can feel like, okay, I've done at least the persistent damage thing once. But if you're not even getting one instance of the persistent damage, it just feels like I just cast a bad single target damage spell, and that's not interesting. It doesn't do anything else.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
I know, but it doesn't do much. I mean, I feel like we've covered all the bases. Anything else we got to say about Immolation?
It's very mediocre.
Yeah.
It's a 2.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. 2 it is. All right. Well, there you go. That was Immolation. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.